directors of HSCRF, Rajnikant Patel. He is a retired mechanical engineer and project manager of Westinghouse Electrical Company, to say few words and lead us to these tools of purposeful, happy, harmonious living.
Thank you, Vedas, for the introduction, but I'm not a project manager anymore, and I don't want to even think about that anymore. Good morning, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. A hearty welcome to you, all of you. Holistic Science is a non-dimensional, non-profit organization focusing on achieving a balance of all aspects of life, outer as well as inner, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. We welcome members of all faiths and encourage them to continue participating in their faith while incorporating the universal principles of holistic science, some of which we'll be discussing today. Let's look at our life. Gita initiated that, but let's look at our life. We have a lot of worries about our daily life, a lot of stress, fear of the unknown. That is the greatest one, the fear of the unknown. We move very fast in this modern technology and fast-paced life and get lost in the unconscious flow of everyday life. We cannot control the things outside of us. We cannot make our family members and people act the way we want them to act. We cannot even make ourselves act the way we want to act. Does this sound familiar?
Yes.
Yes. I don't hear.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you. The good news of this unworthy feeling is, if you really think about it, in our self-judgment, it's due to ignorance. So it's not that bad. It is not who we are. Moments come and go. What doesn't come and go is what you really are, and what we really are, and how we can handle moments without fear, being happy, and having a positive attitude. Holistic science provides universal principles which are used consciously. So this is the difference between unconscious and consciousness. For our inner discovery, to change our beliefs, to be positive and happy in all situations. Our five senses transmit the information that we see, hear, and feel. Based on our belief and knowledge, which is of unconsciousness nature, we try to assimilate that information internally. For example, if somebody calls me an idiot, somebody says, Rajni, you are no good. You know, that has happened many times, of course. Then our ego gets hurt, you know. And what's our first self-defense? I am not that, so let me try to erase the other person's thoughts and all that. But that's realization is a stressful situation and harmony lost between two people. Here, the holistic science provides a conscious inward decision. Hey, my goal is to be happy. I am not going to have any clashes. I'm going to avoid clashes. Takaya Talman, the Takramatali. In the inner consciousness, then it says, I've been called something which I'm not. So why should I be disturbed, and amicably I need to resolve this problem. So while discussing this kind of challenging real life situation, people can participate all day, and we will try to answer all your questions. You know, there's some questions, like I'll put it right now. My children don't understand me. I can tell it because I have grown-up children, so I can relate to that. I do not get a promotion even I deserve for it. My boss does not favor me. And very importantly, my spouse do not change the way I want her to change. How many people have been able to change their spouse or children? None, thank you. I'm part of it, so I challenge our speakers to figure out and tell us why we are agitating all day, all night, why our wives don't act the way we would like to act. Here I'd like to give some quotes from our holistic science. First one is, if fear leaves us, we become fearless. Then nobody fears us, nor do we fear anybody. This is by holistic scientist, His Divine Holiness Sri Kanu Dadaji, who lives in Baroda, India. Second one is, when our life ceases to be inward and private, conversation degenerates into mere gossip. So think about it. When we sit at a round table, you know how the conversation goes. This is by Henry David Thoreau. What lies behind us, what lies before us, are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. This is our famous Ralph Waldo Emerson. Each one of us come here to taken our precious time of your life to be here with us. So we will hope to gain something, and especially today is a great day, a great gift for us. Today is Father's Day, so everybody happy Father's Day, and hopefully we say happy Father's Day, so hopefully we'll dwell into that and we'll take happiness at the end of the day to our family, and they say, wow, Father, it's a really happy, you really look happy. So that's our goal, and of course the mother goes first before the father. So if you have questions, feel free. This is not a lecture or anything, and we will have a lot of interactions. Okay? So we will start our first session with holistic inner science introduction by Dr. Shailesh Mehta, and how we can get a powerful tool for our happiness. Dr. Mehta is an ophthalmologist in Baroda, India, practicing, and when he was very young age, he wanted to do something for the people. So while studying, he met a householder, A.M. Patel, a business contractor, who got enlightened in 1958, and through him, Dr. Mehta got enlightened while he was studying, and then he made up his mind that he wanted to go out to the world, reach out to the people, and just make them understand his holistic side. Since he found happiness, his main task, besides taking care of the eyes, that's outer vision, he tries to take care of the happiness of the inner vision for the people. He has written some books. There's one out there, Introduction to Holistic Science and Living, Science of Liberation, and Vitra Vignan, Drashti of Vignan, and many more. He travels all over the world, and somebody in Boston called him a walking encyclopedia, that he can talk on many subjects. And so I challenge everybody to figure out that at the end of the day, then quietly, silently give me his feedback whether he can be classified as an encyclopedia of what we like to know. Okay? We cannot call it publicly, so Dr. Mehta.
So, very good morning to everybody, and good morning. So I don't know whether I would stand to whatever the words Rajnikant has used, but I can tell you that I love to share whatever I have been experiencing, and I'm not here to teach anybody, but to learn myself, because sharing is the best learning. So I come for myself, that let me tell you how to get outset. So I'll just take you over the introduction to holistic inner science and about this seminar and also the holistic scientist. So we all know that today is the era of science, and there's been tremendous progress in various disciplines of science like nanotechnology, genetic, stem cells, God particles or neutrinos and whatnot. And that's welcome, because that has given us abundance of luxuries and comforts. And the technology is so useful that sitting in our own home, we can connect to anything and anywhere, Google and Skype, and we can have, without hassle of traveling, whatever knowledge or whatever really we seek to obtain. So that's a good part. But if I look within myself, then still, despite all this progress, do I have inner happy, harmonious, rich, meaningful inner living? Or do I have clashes within me? In fact, it is said that on the Google or Skype, the people have come near, but in the family or the dining hall or a dining table, the hearts are apart. So, looking to the inner issues, it calls for the need for holistic inner science. Second thing is, when I see my outer living and inner living, it's said that in one pan of the weighing scale, if you put the outer comforts and outer happiness, and on the other side you put the inner comforts or inner happiness, both should be balanced, or there should be a little bit of difference. But if the difference is way high, the outer comforts are very many and inner happiness is meager, you feel empty at the heart, and probably you may even need psychotherapy, sometimes sleeping pills and whatnot. And fortunately or unfortunately, USA has the highest sale of psychotropic medicines. So it needs us to lead to the inner research, and fortunately it has been going on. One definition of science is which can make humans happy in all perspectives, from without and within, especially from within. So what holistic inner science is all about, few of you may be knowing, for few of you it may be new, so I have to touch upon some basics. Science of our own life and living, science of I, with mind, body, speech and surroundings, along with the natural regulatory system, what's governing, how do it happen that favorable or unfavorable circumstances come around me. In other words, it's a science of relative self and real self. I have to use the scriptural language, science of Prakriti and Purush, science of pure conscious and matter. A lot of progress has been done on the front of matter. But when it comes to living beings, some progress has been made in the sciences of living beings, but science is still trying to figure out what is awareness, what is experience, what is consciousness, from where it comes. What is in my realm and what is not. In other words, people talk of fate and free will. I would simplify it: what is the dependent part of my life and what is the independent part of my life. If at all, where is the charge and discharge of karmic bonds? Or if we try to understand how the cause and effect things work in my life. So we can say that human life is also a very unique, ongoing life experiment of the universe. So far I was understanding that the experiments are carried out only in the laboratory, but those are which are carried out by the tools based on five senses. But who runs the five senses and who runs the inner self? And there is a full whole experiment going on. So as the day goes on, we'll try to see how our own life is a unique life experiment. And when I say it is a unique life experiment, it has to have two parts, experimenter and experiment. So what constitutes experiment over here? It is my inner happenings, mind, body, speech, and outer circumstantial evidences, along with the natural regulatory system, which constitutes the experiment. And living as I am, with whatever understanding and continuously dynamically changing my inner state of being as I am, constitutes the experimenter. So it tends to offer everything from art and science of daily living to absolute pure knowledge or the ultimate. It also deals with cosmos or universe as a whole, It was experienced and revealed by absolute ones like the Tirthankaras or enlightened ones or Jnanis, but most important, it can be said to be science only when it can be experienced by many more, following the same fundamentals or same understandings. And I can most humbly say that there are hundreds of people who are experiencing the same, so that's why it can be said to be a science. Now, how does it work? Just a little insight before we go into the detailed sessions. If we see behind our everyday actions or life and living, what's important is my relative inner self. And mind, reflective consciousness, intellect and ego, coupled with the influence of my beliefs, we'll see that life is nothing but bundle of beliefs and the effects thereof. A lot of my opinions, unless I was introduced to holistic science, I was never aware that, oh, something is there which is most important within me, which is working. I was never aware. But then I became aware that, oh, these all things are working. There is a zone of I and my or mine. Whatever my and mine are very powerful words. And incorrect understanding, if I'm doing any experiment in the science, if my understanding, if my knowledge, fundamentals are not correct, no matter how great struggle I put in, I'll not have desirable results. But if I have the correct understanding, the desirable results will be effortless. And of course, the understanding do get coupled with awareness or mindful living. But here is the question that people are talking a lot about mindful living or awareness. But I put a question that is only awareness enough without correct understanding or without correct knowledge or without these things. So, to graphically put here, as Rajnikant said, we gather everything through five senses. And this is the inner machinery of mind, intellect, reflective consciousness, and ego. But there is a filter of belief or visions, and everybody, all of us, react, perceive, and experience differently for the same happening. Is that true? So what is different is probably here. And holistic inner science tries to act here at the nano level, at the core of being level, so rest of the things can be changed easily, and ultimately it boils down to action and speech. Now let's see how the modern science and many scientists are trying to connect these things. So I have come across many references where people are trying to understand mind, body, consciousness connection. And mind, they have said conscious mind, subconscious mind, and unconscious mind. Brain, some neurophysicians, some neurosurgeons believe that it is all the brain and electrical circuits and wiring of the brain which is responsible. But we believe, and there are enough proofs, that it is the mind primarily which affects all the electrical circuits and wiring, and now they are believing that it's a flexible wiring. And in the body, there is sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, and we all know that stress leads to a lot of effects we'll go through, and there are a lot of psychosomatic diseases which are primary cities in the mind. So this is just to make you little aware that how these systems work. This is the brain and the whole spinal cord, and so many nerves go to each part of the body. This is another to show that it just acts through the smallest cellular levels, and this is just to make you aware that effect of each small thing, as Rajnikant told, that somebody tells me idiot or something, it's not here only, it's not ego, it goes all the way down to the molecular and cellular level, and there has been proofs. So when we see mind, brain and body, the stress releases various hormones. These are various glands of the body. There's no need to go into details, but especially cortisol, adrenaline, they are released by stress, and it has so much of negative effects on all of your organs, including heart and other things. It's also been proved that different conditions of the mind do have the effect on immune system of the body, and you are more susceptible to diseases if you are living in more stressful or negative attitude way. So there are more references and studies that our attitudes and thoughts, they are related to diseases as well as the cure of the diseases or the management of the diseases. Both sides. If you are negative, you do get diseases. If you go to the positive side, you can also cure your diseases. And the first proof probably came by this fellow Norman Cousins, who was told by the doctors that this is a helpless condition and we can't do anything, but he decided, no, I can do it. And he showed that healing by positive attitudes, and he also wrote a book, Anatomy of an Illness and Head First, and he moved all across the world to show the world that no, there is something more which is working. There is a whole branch of transpersonal psychology which gives spiritual dimensions of psychotherapy. There are so many other people who are just working in the area. This is another book, J. Polowaski, MD. He says, change your mind and change your life. This I am just putting to show the reference how everybody is trying to now understand what is going much more at the deeper level. So the holistic approach of treatment, American Institute of Holistic or Alternative Medicine known as AIHA, and there is a mind, body, spirit medicine, and somebody interested can see this video with Mimi Guarneri. Here's 45 minutes, beautiful video. There are many more, I'm just putting few references. And there are a lot of things going on about mindful living, mindfulness-based stress reduction course. But the whole, I can tell you that holistic science not only includes this, but it goes much, much deeper and at the core levels. So there are pictures of aura body. Somebody said that when the science will research into metaphysical areas, the progress in 1 decade will be more than the progress made in 1 century. So now the people are trying to, what are the different changes in the biomagnetic energy field or aura field by different conditions of the mind or your state of being. Going through some scientific correlations, our thoughts can affect physical matter and thus physical outcome. Thoughts do count, they create real effects. They are not just thoughts, they are physical, they have the physical effects. And somebody came out, there is a definite interaction between consciousness and matter, which our whole body is about. There was an intention experiment carried out. A box was charged by 6 meditators with the intention to raise the pH of pure water by 1 unit, and second time to decrease it by 1 unit. The box was taken 1500 miles away, and the experiment, it was proved that it can really do that. Professor Frederick Travis, who is working at the Center for Brain, Consciousness and Cognition in Fairfield, Iowa, he said whole brain of an enlightened person works as one, in a totally synchronized, totally coherent way. To the level they are understanding, they are trying to measure it. But let me tell you, these are just the outside changes, secondary changes they are trying to measure. The core is still inside. And these few references, you can read the Courtney Hazel, who is a journalist from UK, who moved all across the world trying to figure out what is the scientific basis of all this, what is called spirituality. So coming back to holistic inner science, it is all inclusive, all comprehensive. It is useful and beneficial to one and all, irrespective of caste, color, creed, nationality, faith or socio-economic status. It is said that the whole universe is within. Somebody said Pinde so Brahmande. Now we have to find out microcosm and macrocosm, how really does it work. And everything is part of whole and interconnected. Especially in this society which feels that no, I'm alone. I live in my shell. No, it's not like that. We are part of whole and interconnected. So what are the benefits which one can expect by knowing this science? It is of course happy, harmonious, human living. I am putting not human only. It's a human living, means all the human qualities. Right now we are all humans. But if we go deep and examine ourselves, do we have human qualities? Inner freedom, realization of inner potentials, ultimate truth, and ultimate goal of liberation, if one believes into that. So in seminar up to 1:45, we have some formal presentations, and it will be followed by interactions. But from 2 to 4:30, we have more of informal sort of interactions, question and answers, practical sessions, and whatever you have the many questions from the 3 presentations. So we want to make it as live as possible. Make it live by asking as many questions. It is all averse and biased. We do not say or we do not claim that we can satisfy all your queries, but we can certainly try to share whatever is giving us really the happiness. We may not look at the academic completeness of the presentation. It may happen, I may leave some slides here and there, that's fine. But even if it leads us to inner journey, inner awareness, and gives us even a single vision, which we can go and apply in our life and reap the benefit, I think the purpose is well served. And obviously, please put the cell phones in silent mode if you have not already done. Holistic scientist, a word about holistic scientist, one who has the thorough experience of real self and relative self, whose all doership ego and mindless ego has vanished. Why? Why the ego is to be blamed? Is it a culprit? Is it something else? But anyway, what's the benefit of getting rid of that? We'll see over the session. Who can throw light on science of conscious and matter related to conscious, and has only one wish, that let this science reach to one and all, such that all can attain peace and happiness. His Holiness Kanu Dada is the founder visionary for this Holistic Science Charitable Research Foundation. It's through his vision and through his inspiration and motivation that the thing has been going on. So these are the two dignitaries. I was fortunate to come in touch with this in 1977 at my age of 18, and he is our prison guide. And probably throughout the day, if you happen to hear the word Dada Bhagwan, let me say that he is not the one seen in the picture here, but one manifest within as the pure absolute knowledge light, pure absolute vision light, and in finite place, most importantly, it is the real self of all of us itself. Dada Bhagwan is nothing but a word, you can tell it by any word you like. But the real self of all of us is having the similar same qualities, only thing it is latent in us, but potent. Potent but latent, and it is only to be realized and to be manifested. So with this short introduction to this holistic inner science and seminar, we are open to the seminar.
Okay. Thank you very much. I hope we get a little bit flavor of what's to come. Next thing, we would like to do a survey. In your kit, there is a holistic science survey. You can please take it out. If you don't have it, Suresh Bhai has some more copies of them. No, we prefer each individual, please. This is no partnership here, please. This is individual your own thought. Will not share with anybody. Can we get some pencils or pens? Okay, everybody has a survey and a pencil and paper, pencil. There's some pen here. These are a 5-point scale of lichens. 5-point scale. 5, of course, is the good one, best one, and 1 is on the lower scale. Okay. So I'll just go through and mark it, and we'll collect it after that, so nobody will know what you said except yourself. The first one is, are you aware of your inner self? Mind, speech, body, intellect, subconscious, soul, ego, and its functioning. Definitely aware is 5, and definitely not is a 1. So you can score yourself. Number 2, do you clearly know the purpose of your life? So you can score whatever your thoughts are. My happiness and fulfillment score. Would you score yourself as highest, definitely aware, or in the middle, or in the lower end?
For the convenience, if you want, you can also have a look at the screen.
Yeah. Okay, next one is my score of happy, harmonious, meaningful living. What do you think, where do you stand in this? This is internal. Next one is my score as a husband or a wife. Or if you're not married, you can say for yourself, what do you think about yourself?
There can be 2 parts. Your score as husband as well as how much you scored for your wife. And vice versa.
My score as a parent or a child.